90% of the podcast. Okay, I got it. I hit the button. We got the red dot. Welcome, everybody. This is the podcast, The Fall Line with Chaos and Company. And we want to first thank our sponsors out there, Blizzard Technica, and also Nick's Boot Fitting over in Vermont. It's not boot fitting now, but he will be soon. We are getting closer and closer to ski season every day. I don't know if anybody else is, but I am counting the days till Labor Day so we can have some fall fun, and then definitely looking forward to skiing. But we are going to have a great podcast tonight. We have Greg Dolbec with us, Angelo. Angelo's scratching.
Exciting.
As he's scratching. Greg is, let's say, go ahead, Angelo.
I don't have anything to say. I was laughing because you said that you were counting down the days to Labor Day. And I talked to a buddy of ours today. No names, but his initials are Matt Boyd. And he said, I said, when do you wrap up with the water park? And he said, Labor Day Monday, and then he's like, at 4 p.m. Like he's just counting down to the time.
and I'm going to have to talk to Jeb about it because he's been every time I look at Facebook, he's like in Colorado, he's Florida, he's somewhere where his daughter's playing softball. So I'm not sure he's really at the water park this summer. So Jeb must be covering for him.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Covering for him.
But hey, everybody out there, we have Greg Dolbec with us. Greg is one of our ed staff members. He's on our development team for PSIA-E here in the Eastern region. And Greg is on here we'll chat a little bit about skiing and stuff, but had him on because Greg is definitely a bike machine. And you can see his awesome bike in the back there, yellow and red. And my buddy, my uncle, Paul Hunter, loves that bike. He thinks it's the coolest bike. He loves yellows. And he's told Greg that. But Greg, welcome.
Thank you. Exciting to be here.
Yeah. So we have to start with the ski stuff as we always do. And everybody loves this question is, how old were you when you learned how to ski? Was it a formal lesson? Was it from friends? Was it family? Do you even remember the first time on snow?
Yeah, I definitely remember it. It was, I was 8 years old. It was at our house in our front yard. It's just like this 20-foot vertical foot hill that goes right down to the lake. So the lake is frozen. And 4 kids, we all found my dad's 210 centimeter Yamaha skis with these like ankle high, like hard leather boots or something like that. Somehow figured out these like bear trap bindings. I probably couldn't even do it today, but we figured it out. And we would just like boot pack the thing and just would ski straight down right on the lake. So that was my first.
That's your first. Cool.
And then they saw that the kids, we all liked it enough, and they're like, let's go to King Pine. So we got these like rope tow passes to King Pine. There's only rope tow, surface lifts only, like probably like $5. And my brother and I would do laps on the rope tow. I remember Mom being at the bottom watching, and she was like, "Hey, Greg, come over here. You see those kids? See how they're like turning, making S's? Do you want to do that?" I was like, "No." Go straight back down, hockey stop. Because we were ice skating by then. We're on a pond, so it's just like up, down, hockey stop, up, down, hockey stop.
So King Pine, man. So you're old enough to remember probably the J bar there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was over there. I skied there when I was a kid. My brother was really mad. He's still mad at me. My brother's 6 years older than I am. But we were over there skiing. I don't know how old I was. I'd been on snow already, but I did not turn. And I was a little tyke. I mean, I must have only, I don't know, probably 3 or 4. I was skiing. I came down where the J-Bar trail is. It's definitely different now, but I came down off the J-Bar just straight. And I think I clipped all the tails of this ski lesson. It was nicely lined up, just like an Austrian ski lesson. And they went downhill, dunk, 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 just like dominoes.
Yeah. So then you had to pay it forward and be an instructor, and your life. I
pay it forward and an instructor because it's like, I don't know who that ski instructor was. I don't remember what happened, but I know my brother was pretty upset because I think he got chewed out for what I did. But yeah, it's crazy. King Pine, that's a great little resort, man.
It is.
Yeah. So what was your young years skiing after that? Was it King Pine? How'd you progress from there?
Yeah, we did Tuesday night skiing there. After that, it was like, 2 for $7 or something like that. So we would do that. It's 30 minutes from the house. And then middle school, I just did school bus, like Saturday school bus to Shawnee Peak. or no, it was Friday night skiing. And then high school was just like the same thing, like the rec school bus to Sunday River. So cool. never took a lesson. The first lesson I took was at Sunday River after they did the hiring clinic and we're on snow, and they're like, okay, this is how you ski.
And who were you with? Do you remember the trainer up there?
Well, the manager at that point was Greg something. But Helen Davies was also like, she was like the children's school manager. So she was awesome. Cool. I don't remember like who snow.
No, I didn't know you started at Sunday River. Yeah. That was one of the things I was going to ask you. I know you're at Stowe now.
Yeah.
And so how long did you stay at Sunday River?
A couple seasons, and then transitioned to Stowe in 2006 and went back to Gould Academy for a couple winters, went up to Telluride for a couple winters, back to Stowe. So kind of flying around, checking things out.
That's cool, man. So it was 2006. You said you went to Stowe.
Yep.
So what year did you start at Sunday River? That was, when did you start teaching? 2004.
Yeah.
Cool. And first job at Sunday River. Whoa.
Yeah, man, I remember it just vividly, where, you go through a couple of days, like the indoor training and all that stuff. And then a couple weeks later, you have your first class and they're like, okay, Greg, here's your class. And, take them outside and get them skiing. So I'm like, all right, guys, you're with me. Throwing my gear on, helmet, goggles. I'm like, here we go, guys. Walking up the door, right? And they're all like, I need help with my mitten. I can't get this on. And I'm like, whoa, reality check. Like, I need to slow down here.
Oh man, that is awesome. And when did you first know you wanted to become part of the ed staff? When did that journey start?
Honestly, it was when I was out in Telluride teaching. There was a really solid group of instructors out there, people going for their level 3s, RMT level 3 level 3 or RMT, Rocky Mountain Trainer. So we had this every Thursday, like 7 of us, and the trainer out there would bring a video camera and we'd just be out there all day, and then at the end of the day, 4:00, we'd go they had this great room where we could do video analysis right at their ski school, right there where we finished. And from like 4:30 to 6:30, we'd do video analysis. So it was like, it was 9 till 6:30. We would just hammer out and really, really got a solid understanding and interested in that stuff. So. Cool.
Yeah. And you had the dev team tryout during like the height of COVID. We were at Cannon and, we were kind of stressing it that we had perfect snow up there. And then it was like, we had that warm up right before the tryout. And I remember Kathy Brennan she had to go by there for something. She was coming from an event or something. She's like, I'm going to go see if it's still white. And it was white enough. We had enough. We had definitely snow to make it happen. And Cannon was great for that. But that was definitely a different tryout from the ones we'd done before then, or even the one we did this past year. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, Cannon has been. I've done a lot of events at Cannon. They do a great job hosting, and it was like, you ski the same trail, but you're trying different tasks and you're challenged. We're not flying through the woods and powder, but it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was pretty firm.
Yeah,
it was that upper section there where we did those medium radius turns. That was pretty solid in the morning.
In the morning was firm, and then it slushed up at the bottom for sure. Yeah,
it was crazy. So we wanted to kind of start with some of the ski stuff because you are one of our ed staff members. You're on the development team that I'm the coach of, that I'm psyched to have you on there. You've gone full season now. You're going into your second year in the dev team, but we also wanted to have you on here. We really wanted to chat about your biking and your Deer Farm Cyclocross race and the gravel rides and that. And so we should start at the beginning with that also. And like, what's your first memory of riding a bike? Do you remember that first memory? And what was your first bike?
Yeah. First memory of riding a bike, so my dad had picked up this red Huffy from the dump. So it had to have been a 20-inch, because I would have been like probably 5 or 6 years old. And coaster brake, right? So red Huffy. The thing was just, all dinged up, but I loved it. It was like the best bike to me in the world, right? So that was, just didn't have training wheels. I think my dad probably helped me, or I just kind of figured it out on the lawn. But I remember getting brave, and the dirt road that we live on is half a mile, and leaving from the house just around the corner, there's like this little hill that probably goes down a total of 10 vertical feet. And I remember my brother, like older brother, 2 years older, he'd be like, "Come on, you can do it, Greg, you can do it." And I remember crashing and like blacking out, because I don't remember the rest of it, like how the bike came off of me, but I was laying there. My brother was standing over me, like, "Come on, get up, you wuss. Hurry up. We're going to get back home." I was like, what just happened? Like, no helmet.
And we didn't have helmets when I was a kid. We didn't wear helmets. So thank God we do now.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, that is funny. And were you hooked right away after you crashed that first bike, or like did it take get warm up to it?
Yeah, it kept going for sure. My next bike my aunt gave me, and it was probably a girl's bike, but I don't care. I had a banana seat. That was kind of cool. Banana seat bike was my next one. And then I started using my dad's bikes. So kind of raging before like smooth, sweet, flowy single track was built. I was just on this 26-inch, fully rigid, bashing, ATV trails with my teeth knocked out. It was awesome.
So your dad liked to ride?
Not a lot. We all had bikes, and we, go on like family vacation, down the Cape. Once I remember going up to like one of the islands in Maine, and we just had like 6 bikes on the top of our like Dodge Caravan, like way out wide,
Well, I'm looking at your bike in the background, and that's a long way from the Huffy and the banana seat that you have sitting out there. That's a pretty sweet ride that you have.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the bike.
So on that side is a Specialized crux. So it's a cyclocross bike. It's basically got drop bars like a road bike, but hydraulic disc brakes, so very powerful braking. It's really built for like quick accelerations and racing. And a cyclocross course is like, it's kind of like a dirt crit, meaning a short course that's about an 8-minute lap. And you're in there with like, 30, 40 other people, and you're just edging for every turn and, trying to just get ahead of the next person and using your skills, whether it's off camber or barriers or, sand that will like throw you off your line and mud. It's all super fun, I think. So,
yeah. So I know you have your own race, but you do a bunch of racing. And what was your first race? Like first race ever? Do you remember your first race ever?
I do. Yeah. It was the MDI road race. So Mount Desert Island. During my summers in college, some buddies and I, we were all runners. We like moved up to Mount Desert Island, rented a house, and we were there training. Some of us would train drinking, but I would always, I worked at a restaurant, worked late at night, and my buddies would be there. They'd be like, hey, they call me Jetties, because I worked at this restaurant called Jetties, and I was like there like 60, 70 hours a week. So they call me Jetties, and they're like, hey, come have a beer. And I was like, I go in the fridge, I pull out a carrot, I sit on the porch with them and kind of wind down after that shift, right? And just be chewing on my carrot. Yeah. They all started liking carrots by the end of the summer. They were like, come home, they'd see me come home, they'd run in and grab carrots.
Maybe we should try that with Lanny. Do you think Lanny would start eating carrots with us?
No,
I didn't think so.
Maybe if you stir the beer with them.
Yeah, you could stir the beer, or maybe mix up some vodka and something, man. He's probably going to tell me you don't mix anything with vodka, not even ice. Oh man. Oh, so how did the racing develop? I mean, I imagine the way I know you now and chat with you in the races you do and the race you hold. I mean, you've probably been racing for a while.
Yeah.
And cyclocross wasn't around when you first started racing, right?
No, it was.
Okay.
It definitely was, pretty quiet.
Yeah.
It really started to rocket in popularity about 2013. and it's been pretty steady since then. But yeah, with the technology of like hydraulic disc brakes and tubeless tire technology, where you pretty much you won't pinch flat with a tube, and you can run lower pressure, so you have better traction. It's just like a total game changer. It is like parallel to straight skis to parabolic skis.
Yeah. So were your races early on road races mostly, and a little bit of truck?
Yeah. After college, then the Lance Armstrong kind of era was like, road racing. I did some mountain bike races too, but it was definitely into road races and crits, and did the Mount Washington hill climb.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. That's a good one, man. So how did you do in that? Like, did you do it more than once, or?
Well, the first year I did it, I think it was 2006. It was amazing because it was like at the top, I remember it was 63 degrees with wind gusts of 3 miles per hour.
Oh, lucky.
The next year they canceled it because it was like 28 degrees and like sleeting and snowing. So, I didn't get a second chance after that, and kind of stopped the hill climbing stuff. But maybe I'll go back. I don't know.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, you should go back. Yeah, I'd love to watch. It was laughing. Yeah,
sit there and watch him with your carrot.
Well, I'm on my trainer. You can get on like Ruby and that, and do the climb. And I've done some of it. I've done to like mile 4. And on the trainer, but you have to do the race. It's the only time you can ride it. I mean, you can't ride the road unless you're in the race. So,
what's the distance?
6 miles, or just over 6, like 6.2.
Yes, it's like 7.8, I think.
Yeah.
Average of like 12%, max of 22%.
Yeah. It's a tough climb.
It's in your face a little bit.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of the steep stuff, I think, is at the bottom. Then you get the real that last pitch going up to the building if it goes all the way to the top.
Yeah, that's the 22.
So it's a tough. And well, now it's like it's going to be interesting the times, because it's gone from some gravel sections to the whole road this year is paved all the way to the top.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe someone will get the record.
Yeah. Or maybe gravel is just faster.
Oh, maybe. Well, maybe you think so? I don't know.
Maybe gravel is just more fun. So
I could say maybe it was more fun, but I don't know if it's going to be faster. Oh God. And so along the way, you're a big bike tech, or at least you're a big bike tech compared to me. Let me tell you, I'm lucky to be able to put the wheels on and off. And my bike tech guys laugh at me. Jess laughs at me, and gives me a lot of coaching. Nate Waterhouse up the mountain, he can bike tech, and thank God when I screw something up, he fixes it. But when did that start? You were working on your own bikes, or did you?
Yeah, that started in Bar Harbor as well. My first summer there, I was just getting totally like consumed with cycling. It's so big around there. Like, I hadn't ever experienced that, where like, everyone goes up there to ride a bike because the carriage trail is beautiful and the Park Loop Road is beautiful. So it's like every other car has bikes on it. Like, well, there's like 5 bike shops here, and see if one of them will hire me. And Bar Harbor Bike Shop hired me, and that's where I started, cleaning the rentals and adjusting V-brakes, and kind of went on from there,
Yeah. So when your bike comes back from a ride, like last week, you did a 50 miler, which I went on, Strava and said, okay, how many miles did you do today? I was looking at it, was like 52. You were halfway through the ride when you came to visit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that was a good ride. Then I looked down, because I think it was on Saturday night. I looked and I'm like, oh, he just decided to go on a 92 miler the day after. But like, when you go on those rides, or any ride, I mean, are you washing the bike every single time you get home, or?
Not every single time. My mountain bike, I usually will, because I do these catamount races every Wednesday, and just try to keep that, nice and clean. But gravel bike is just, it's or my cyclocross bike. It's just my everyday, so it's like, and to like wash it every day would be tough, but once a week, I would say, and then if it's nasty rain, I use my kind of older bike, or just don't ride at all, like gotta have some rest days. Yeah. Just as important as training. So, yeah.
So, and what other weekly kind of stuff do you do on a bike, maintenance wise? Anything,
Yeah, definitely. Keeping the chain clean. Easiest way is just honestly soap and water. That will remove most of the grime, and then the lube that has been on there, and then just make sure it's dried up really, really well before you apply, a little bit more lube and kind of rub that in. So that's the big one. And then just, keeping tire pressure up, and everything else is pretty easy. Like you won't go through brake pads unless, I did in one race that was very muddy, but
was that last year? I saw a photo last year. You went through one race last year that it was like, pretty much you couldn't see any logos or anything that were on your jersey for your Deer Farm crew.
Apple Crest, Orchard Cross. Orchard Cross was like, oh my God, it was small. It was so crazy.
It was on you. You had your glasses on. It was all over your glasses.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm good for those like once or twice a year, but too many of those real mudders, and it's like, oh my God, like you just have to rip everything apart. It's like, I was getting chocolate milk water out of the weirdest places on the bike that I never thought water could kind of rest. And it's like, okay, I'm glad I got it out of there. That would have, so yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had that. I should have looked it up on the phone, because I think I saved that photo of you, because I think you were standing. There was one, I think, in the race, and then one coming around a corner or something, and one standing there after the race. But I think we were on the podium or whatever. Yeah. So it was like,
yeah.
Well, we got to dig those up, Angelo. He was definitely covered, man. It was kind of that thing of when somebody, does that huge explosion on skis and the snow's pretty good. So when they get up, they're just white. Well, he was just like black from the top of his helmet all the way down. Angelo was like, oh, you wouldn't ride when it's like that, would you, Angelo?
Oh, I've done a couple rides like that. Yeah. Yeah. If you want, it rains so much here. If you want to be a rider, you're going to be muddy.
Well, talking about mud, you the cyclocross, you definitely get muddy in, but you do mountain bike, so you mix it up quite a bit. You go from road to cyclocross, you're on the gravel, you're on the asphalt, you're on the mountain bike trails. So how much do you mountain bike? Every week.
Yeah, definitely Wednesday nights. Like I said, it's like the Catamount race series. And then I, try to sneak in maybe one more day a week just in the neighborhood trails. I just like, for anyone that is limited on time, maybe has young kids, driving 20 or 30 minutes to a trailhead to mountain bike and then drive 20, 30 minutes back. It's like, that's an hour of ride time right there, that is like quality time that I'm missing. So, I'll just do some kind of neighborhood mountain bike stuff, which, doesn't have like the sweet flowy descents, but at least it's, it's something, get some dirt on tires.
So how many times you getting ready to ride and the kids go, Dad, we want to ride. And you're like, okay, I got to go ride with the kids first.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love it when they do that. And I just kind of like I said, it reminds me of that moment of my first lesson where I was like, okay, this isn't just all about me, I gotta just calm down. I can take 5-10 minutes and, ride with the kids, and we'll go to like the end of the road. Come to my parents' house, we'll ride the half mile to the end of the road and give them hugs at the top, and they ride back down the road by themselves. And like, you think about when you were a kid and your first experience on a bike, and just like the freedom and the independence. And like, that's exactly what I remember. And I'm sure that they, feel the same thing. They just don't know how to put words to it yet. So.
That's cool. We'll chat more of that after we because I want to talk more about the kids. I watched one of the mountain bike. People probably saw it if they follow you on Facebook. If they're one of your friends, because you had Rory taking some air, which was pretty cool. A couple of weeks ago or a week ago, I saw that, and I didn't see the video of you taking air, so that's why I thought you we're probably on the cyclocross bike. Maybe you don't even have a mountain bike, wouldn't take air or what. But yeah, we'll chat. I want to chat more about that, but I want to chat about, because the kids will come up in your talk about the cyclocross races at your parents' Deer Farm, the Applegate Deer Farm, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and that's why I've got your Deer Farm Cyclocross on. You got some of the shirts in the back there. I got one of them here, and I was pretty amazed. When I first met you, when you made the dev team, you were chatting about the race you had there, and like you're like, I think 25 minutes from here in the car, if that. Yep. From my house. Yep. And I said, wow, this thing sounds like a pretty big deal that he puts together. And then when I was there last year, when I went and visited on Saturday for the big races, it was like, okay, this is even way bigger than Greg was letting on. I mean, this is a really cool race and a whole weekend that you put on over there at your parents' Deer Farm. And tell us about the weekend, the races. I mean, tell us how it started. Like, how did this get going?
Yeah. So started in 2016, and it was kind of like, at that point, my parents were well into deer farming, and I was like, I would always go there on my time off and weekends, and Roy was just born that year. And I was like, okay, like I want to find a way to like show people who don't normally like see a deer farm, show it to them. Like it's a total different segment of, the population that wouldn't go to a farm, racers, bike racers don't stop by. The people who would stop by and purchase venison would be like, it was always like, right, like December, right, when usually the wife comes by and is like, yeah, my husband didn't get a deer this year. Can I buy some venison for him? I feel bad, That was like, it was always like deer hunters coming by, or so it's like, all right, let's try this out. Let's try like a different segment that wouldn't normally come. So that was like kind of the impetus of it. And it's rolled from there. Like the first year was very humble. I think we had like 30 or 35 racers, something like that, pretty small, which was great. Don't want to bite off more than I can chew. Yeah. But the next year went to like 170. It kind of like blew up. I was like, whoa, what happened here? And I found out that this race in Connecticut like decided in the last week that they were going to charge the racers and the spectators to park. So like everyone just like, whatever, you can like have my entry fee. I'm going to go to this other race, So, I mean, ever since then, like that was like a taste of like the community and like how like strong they are and bonded they are. It's like, all right, my goal here is to provide an event to get the cycling community together, whether you're a racer, spectator, or just a person who like enjoys riding, give them a fun, safe venue and provide, affordable entertainment. That's really the goal of it. And that's what I've been trying to stick with.
Now, Saturday's like full on. There's heats, there's different levels of racing. And I don't know. I was going to ask you because I can't remember from last year, and I don't even know if I saw it. I was trying to look for it. Like all the races weren't the same length, right? The heats.
Yeah, yeah, correct. So there's different categories. Category 5 is beginner, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll usually lump like the 4 and 5s together, and they'll race for 30 or 35 minutes. And then like the 4s are kind of this in between spot, because you can also go as a 3-4 and you can race for 40 or 45 minutes. It's usually in that range. And then I'll lump the 1, 2, 3s together, and they'll race for 50 minutes. So, and then juniors are all, I'll do like 20 or 30 minutes for them. Juniors race for free. I never charge anyone 18 or under to ride their bike. I don't know why you should.
Yeah, because he was a pretty good biker. So I could tell, man, you just knew he had a heat in the morning, and he was doing multiple different, because they can get into different heats during the day. So it's not like one race for the day. You can do multiple different things, right?
Yeah, totally. Especially if you're like a masters racer, you can hop in, a Masters, 4 or 5 race in the morning, and then like a midday 3-4 race. There's definitely, I try to line it up so that if you want to race more than once, you can, but also like if you can't get there for the morning, you have an opportunity to get there in the afternoon and still race, so I'm just trying to provide as much options as possible for people.
Yeah, it was cool. There was a young, I think he was probably like 14, and I mean, he was decked out, and I watched him one of his races in the morning, and he was doing another one later in the day, but it was neat chatting with him. It was like 14-year-old kid, and man, he was cranking. He was beating a lot of the kids that were older than him. I think he got on the podium in that first heat that he ran in the morning, and I didn't get to see his race in the afternoon, but it was neat. I mean, there's definitely a range of ages that you had there, and definitely different levels. It wasn't, I mean, you had some past medalists in the Olympics, I believe you had there last year, right?
Yeah, totally. I was stoked. Georgia Gould came. She lives in Vermont, and she is an Olympic mountain bike medalist. Wait, did she medal? I can't. Maybe I should take that back. She went to the Olympics. I don't know if she medaled or not. And then Magali Rochette. She is from up in Canada, and she races current like UCI World Cup cyclocross. So she travels to Europe and like all over, and it's just like, she's very well known, and it's a super, phenomenal race, and very nice person too. Her and her husband were there. They brought their like whole camper set up and came the night before, and we were like eating dinner with them. We had them over and everything. It's just, they were super nice. So
yeah, it's pretty cool to see. I mean, the folks that are really into it. They've got their setup. They've got their station that they can work on their bike after their heat and wash it all down, get all the mud and dirt and sand off it. And I think you were saying last year you were a little bummed it was pretty dry. So there was some sandy sections, but you had a muddy section, I think, the year before.
Yeah. It's definitely a tough balance because the dust can be tough for visibility and like gets in your eyes and all that stuff. But there's this natural peat bog section. It's just like kind of always stays wet. But if it rains, it gets like just soupy. And it's this very dark, acidic soil. And like the wild blueberries like thrive in there. Like they're just popping up everywhere. So I was like, I remember going through, it's like, okay, it's like a little bit wet, but we'll manage. But after like the first race, it was just like people had to like hop off their bikes and run through, and they were like mid-leg, like black mud for like 100 feet.
Yeah. No, so Angelo would love this part. I wish I had a picture to show him. There was one section at last year's loop, Angelo, they went right through one of his dad's sheds.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, right to, he built that as a handling facility and has all these gates that like rotate or slide to when the deer come in, he can kind of move them wherever he wants them. So they like up a ramp and through and out. It's pretty cool.
Sounds like the miniature golf portion of the course. Like you go through the shed and then you have to bounce one off the clown's head.
It was super cool, man. I mean, it was from start to finish. And then I want to talk to you about how you come up with your loop and that if it's the same year to year. But then, Angela, it went from that and watching the coolness. I mean, and on the Deer Farm, you can see like last year we could see like at least 90 or 95% of the entire loop of the racers going around. There's only a couple spots, depending where you were, you couldn't see, but if you moved somewhere else, you could see it. Yeah. But then you had the kids loop. You had a whole section set up that was the little kids and somewhere on the push bikes. It was so cool. I mean, tell us a little bit about that and how you put that together. Yeah.
So, I just try to have a separate little kids course where they can just like play with in session all day. And I was like, kids love pump tracks. So my nephew, he's like 13 years old. He's like an incredible machine operator. My brother has an excavating business. So of course, this kid is like just phenomenal. So my brother drives over the skid steer and Garrett gets in it and he's like helping me shape some rollers and some berms and all that stuff. We got a little fun kids course ripping. So yeah.
That would have been our speed, Angelo. It was beautiful. I wanted to get my bike out and get on it, and I would have been made fun of, but it was the coolest little course. But then watching these little kids ripping out there, there was a couple kids that were just flying. They had their full-on kit on, their jerseys and shorts and everything. It was wild.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Absolutely wild, man. It was really cool. You got to come up and see it, Angelo. And then,
you think you could keep up with them?
I don't think so. That's why I was really like, I would have been okay to be made fun of by the adults, but the kids would have beat me and then I would have really been embarrassed. There was some little kids there. I mean, and it was wild. I mean, all the kids, even the push, but they were having a blast running around that little course on their bikes. It was absolutely awesome. And I think that had more of the people watching that than the big heats. Watching the kids
very concentrated. It was like 1, 2, 3 turns, 4 turns, something like that. And yeah, just in a nice shady spot with kids could just kind of rip it all day. And this year I was thinking about it because, all last season, I'm pretty much bringing my kids with me to my races and like connecting with other parents, like, hey, can you watch my kids while I just, go race? And I'll like watch their kids, kind of doing the swap duty thing. And I was thinking about it, I was like, man, like every race has a kids race and it's, at a certain time of the day. And like usually it works out where it's like about 15 minutes after the Masters race. Cause it's like, okay, most of the Masters, that's your most likely category that will have kids. But I'm like, all right, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do like a kids race every like hour and a half or 2 hours. That's what I'm going to do this year. Just like, wherever you want to fit in, those kids can race 4 or 5 times if they want. So
it's awesome just to see the energy. I mean, there was a lot of just everybody having fun, hanging out, chatting. It was just, I love the kind of like DJ guy on the mic you had chatting and talking during the whole thing, what was going on. I mean, was that a buddy of yours?
Yeah, Benjamin Kramer. He's amazing. He's like super enthusiastic. He knows so much about the sport. So it's really nice because he's like, he knows the racers. It's like, oh, here comes da da da, and he's duking out with da da da, and she's da da. So he's like, just awesome. It's really good to be like, like you said, you can stand in any part, and that's how I like to design the course. And I'm lucky enough to kind of like have that, field up there, and you can, like you said, you can see 90% of the course. And if you don't see them, like you miss them for about 15 seconds, and they pop back out. So it's like super spectator friendly sport. That's what I like about it.
Yeah. So do you give any secrets out for this year's course? Is it going to be the same, different? You won't say because you like to keep it a surprise, or?
It'll be similar. I mean, it'd be hard to like walk everyone through it. You've got to come kind of check it out. Yeah. But, since you've been there, Dave, it'll be very similar, kind of same loop pattern, but a safer start and more parking. So,
where are you putting the extra parking?
Because the start is being like moved to a different part instead of having out and back in that one big field, it's just going to be an out. So I'll be able to get another 25 feet of 5 by 200 feet of parking. So
sweet. Then you can get under that big tree in the shade easier.
Yeah.
With the rocks. Yeah. You had to go across the race course to get in that tree. Everybody's like, Paul wanted to go over there. I'm like, we're not walking across there. I'm not going to be the one that goes over there at the wrong time when the racers are coming by. Nope. We're standing on this side of the road. So, that'll be cool. Yeah. He was loving it though, man. He was loving watching them all. He calls it, he's just mountain bike race. He calls it a mountain. So we'll have to work on him on that for the cyclocross race.
Take it. Yeah. No offense.
Yeah. So the racing is a big day on Saturday and fun, and people shouldn't be like nervous about it. I mean, it's a pretty, I would say, I mean, there's challenge to it, but it's not like when I got there and saw it, there's definitely a challenge, but it's not like they're going off jumps and crazy stuff if they wanted to try something new. Yeah.
No, it's like I said, beginners ride the course, and, it's all about the speed you carry. Like some of the features, maybe you can't ride up because you don't have the speed. That's fine. You can walk or run up it, so anyone is welcome to to ride it. And there are people who come on mountain bikes and they do just fine. It's certainly, you don't need a cyclocross bike. Gravel bikes work really well too. So like that's a big, gravel bikes are very popular nowadays, but they work well on cyclocross courses.
Yeah, I did see quite a few. There was there's definitely not the majority, but there was definitely some folks on mountain bikes and different stuff. So that was kind of cool to see. So I was curious, you said, because people asked you, where are the deer hiding? Cause you're like, oh, the deer are around.
Yeah.
And I did look aerial, and I could be looking wrong, but it looks like when I looked at the aerial and from being there's like one more field out farther away from where the start was that I couldn't see. Were they out there that you couldn't see, or were they hiding in the woods? Or
yeah, exactly. Where the far end of the course kind of looped, just over the knoll, and then there's another fence with a raceway, and they were on the other side of that. So, and even over that, they were like, there's more trees for them to hide in. So I'm sure they were like, they don't really like people.
Yeah. I know people, I'd heard even people asking, and I might've said, they're around, they're up there. And then when I looked at the aerial from above, and I was like, oh, I don't remember seeing that field. That field you can't see, I don't think, from where we were. Yeah. So that's where I figured they were hiding. You said they're big deer. You were telling me the other day, they're not like your New England.
They're not New England whitetails. No, the stags will be like 550 pounds. And my dad he had a couple elk female in there that were also that size. They're just like so big. I would go in there and help my dad feed them every now and then. And, man, they just push you around, like not to like hurt you, but they're just, they want food. You're giving them food and they're going to like push you out of the way.
Angelo's just smiling. That's like your house, man. How many animals do you have in the house, Angelo? How many cats? How many dogs you got? You got the big guy.
Four cats, 4 dogs.
4 cats, 4 dogs. He's got a fleet down there.
Got a fleet. You get fleet insurance on these pets.
Yeah, I know. Some of them are rough, and they're rough on you. So what are your thoughts, Greg, on someone that's never raced, never cyclocross raced, or maybe is interested, but how do they register? How do they get there? What would be the things? Because I know you have your little card and you've got ways they can get online to search this out.
Yeah, there's a little card right there. Boom.
Oh, there we go.
So Bike Reg is basically the platform that I use and pretty much all cycling events use to register from, unless it's like there are some private events that have their own website, but then you got to like kind of do your own kind of marketing and all this stuff. So nice thing about Bike Reg is everyone that, knows about bikes and bike racing, they know to go on Bike Reg, but there's definitely segments of the population that aren't familiar with it. So I should try to do outreach, in other ways. But Bike Reg right on there. Search for New England Cyclocross, or just type in Deer Farm Cyclocross.
So I know you won't say no to this question, but maybe you can rate it in, because yours is the only cyclocross race I've been to in person to see, other than seeing stuff on TV. So with your course and the stuff that is kind of in the area and the stuff you race, is your place, your event, maybe the place to start to get going?
Just trying to think of like, it's all about, I would say proximity, to where you live. Sometimes it's easier to, just do a quick day trip and drive, hour and a half or 2 hours instead of doing like a big 4-hour haul or something like that. But I just try to keep it as easy as possible. In the past, I've used USA Cycling. But they definitely add some challenges and add fees and all this stuff. So I found a different way to kind of help and keep it simple for the participants. I think just, something closer to home is the best way to start. And then you meet people at the event. It's like, oh, like kind of where are you going next? Oh, that's a cool one. Have you heard of this one? Yeah, that's cool. So it's just starts the build the community from there, I think.
It was kind of neat because you definitely see the intermingling and people chat. I mean, there's a lot of people just being there and watching. There's a lot of people that I can tell they know each other because they go race to race and they're racing against each other all the time every week. And they were chatting about it when you're listening to their conversations or chatting with them. It was pretty neat. It was definitely a big community there. What I wanted to ask you is, I lost. Oh, there it is. My list here so I don't get off track. What the cool thing that I loved about your event, and I couldn't get there Sunday, and I know you're bugging me this year. You want me to ride one of them. It goes full on racing, really cool, all different levels and ages and ability levels. It was really neat on the first day, and I got to see most of that. But on day 2, on Sunday, you do a bunch of organized gravel rides, right?
Yep. Yeah.
With 3 different kind of things. I'm curious, like, are they organized rides that someone's leading? You just have the route, people just kind of get together and ride the route together, and some are way out, or how's that work?
Yeah. So I'll have the 35 mile and the 50 mile options marked. There's a 90-ish mile option that I'm like, I don't know if I want to go out there and like mark 90 miles of turns. Right. But a lot of people who are into gravel rides have GPS computers on their bikes, or they can use their phones, and it basically is like turn by turn directions with like a map. So, either one of those ways, and definitely like, if you come alone, like pretty sure you'll find a buddy who's about your pace, and you can, make a buddy and ride with someone. But it's always better just to sign up with some pals and just decide, hey, we're going to do this together.
Yeah.
I know Charlie Roy's coming.
Cool, Charlie.
And Benedictus is coming.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So those guys are into it, which is great. Love their support. So
yeah, it was neat. I liked it because it was you had the full, like, the competitive and those around, and then it was like you talk so much about the community. It's like, let's go out and ride together, and it was paced out for different distances and definitely towards kind of the gravel, which it's a mix. In our area, it's mixed asphalt gravel, right, to get to different spots you have. Yeah, so it's not full on 30 miles of all on gravel.
No, it's nice to get the road reprieve when you're just like getting slammed on different gravel textures for 3 hours to 6 hours. It's like, it's a lot. It's nice to put on some smooth pavement every now and then.
Yeah. So what other, I know every year, because you've been telling me, and last year you'd added some stuff, you told me you're going to add some stuff. What are some of the other activities and fun stuff that happen throughout the weekend? Because you've made this a full on weekend kind of affair. I think last year you had some camping or something, and
we definitely out at the farm. Funny story. This guy from Boffer, he rolls in like late on Saturday night, so like after the cyclocross stuff, and like I see the van come in because I'm still like doing cleanup, but it's like dusk. So he rolls in, finds a parking spot. And I was chatting with him the next day. He's like, yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night and like had to go out to go pee. And, I was barefoot. So I stepped out of the van and I was like, oh, mushrooms. That feels funny between the toes. And the next morning he looks down, it's like deer poop. He was like, he totally embraced it though. He's like, that just made my day. He was like, this is amazing. I am on a deer farm. I just stepped in deer poop in the night. I love it. So he's a phenomenal guy. But yeah, camping is allowed, and we provide food and beer at the event, and like, this is all like, this isn't like all put on by me. Like, it's actually like, it's morphed into my running buddies from college. We all like get together and do like, some of them will come for like 5 days and just like, we just like rage. We do like prep and we just set things up, and it's just like a blast. My buddy Mike Bunker, he owns Heritage Timber Rights. He's just like the super skilled, like just like anything he touches is like amazing, right? he's like, oh, I was like, I might build like a pizza oven at my parents' house. He's like, no. And he like sends me this video like a week later. He's like, hey, Greg, I built a pizza oven on a trailer so I can bring it over. Does that sound cool? I'm like, what? so I think we're gonna be like slinging some pizzas, hopefully, but it's on a small pond too. So like last year it was 85 degrees and people after the race and like, I'm jumping in the lake. And they run over and jump in the lake to cool off.
No. Angelo, I'm telling you, see, this is an event you would love, brother.
It sounds like a hoot, and it sounds first class.
Dude, we get to sit. I on Saturday, I go, I'm not that competitive on the bike, so I sit in the chair. I can throw one back.
What we need more hecklers.
And more hecklers.
Are you good at heckling, Angelo?
Oh, I can heckle.
All right.
You know what I was thinking? There's one of the Rocky films, Rocky and Apollo Creed.
Yep.
Go at it. Like there's no crowd. They're just in the gym. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
At the end? That's what I want, Greg. When the smoke clears and everybody leaves and the last car has left the parking lot and the sun's going down, I want to race Dave over here. For the grudge.
There we go.
For the grudge match. Two fat old guys.
I'm ready, baby. I got the biggest cheerleader here. Paul Hunter will cheer me on. Oh man, no, I was there just Saturday, and Greg was telling me stuff was going on Sunday, and then stuff he'd added. Such a cool event, and it is a neat venue. And I've heard it from people there. The one time I went, you could hear it from people that it's definitely a different venue, I think, than from what I heard. And I have many other cyclocross races, but it's a different venue than they go to because of the farm.
It's
because I don't think a lot of some.
I was gonna say there's this one guy, Adam Meyerson, who's like, he's just amazing. Like he is like the New England glue of cyclocross, like, and just general cycling. Like, he's been just in it for so long. And like, he's raced in Europe, and, Europe it's all televised, like all these amazing courses. And that's kind of like the standard. And after doing Deer Farm CX last fall for the first time, probably a little bit rude, but I out sprinted him and beat him by with a bike throw, right? Poor guy. He had knee surgery probably 3 months before, he's just coming back I'm going to get him. But anyways, we were cooling down together. He's like, dude, and he's like, this course is amazing. He's like, I've been so many places, racing cyclocross. And he's like, this is a venue that is up there with European cyclocross. He's like, this is just phenomenal. And it's just the venue, it just has so many different textures to it, I like to say, where it's like I said, off camber and sand, there's some packed sections, there's bumpy grass, there's smooth grass, there's, it's got so many layers. And that just keeps it exciting. Whereas I've been to other places, and it's cool that they can hold cyclocross at a town park, 40 minutes from the downtown Boston, and you get 600 people. That's awesome. But it's that one oak tree that you go around is okay, it's kind of getting old,
Yeah. but yeah, I hope a bunch of people, I'm glad Charlie and Ben are coming. That's cool. They're going to bug me now to race. I'm like, I already have a heat, and it's with Angelo.
That's it. And you better rest up, Bubby.
Angelo's doing the bike tours, right? You're in shape from bike touring.
I wouldn't go that far, Greg. Shape. I'm in A shape.
A shape. Oh God. Oh man.
I saw you eating a carrot earlier.
Yeah, well,
you're doing good for your body.
Yeah, I'm doing right, and it makes you see better.
Makes you see better. As I'm hearing Greg and I hear their glasses on.
Right. Well, I took my contacts out because I can't see anything with them in or out. So the carrots aren't working.
The carrots aren't working. Oh man. So some of the big questions in terms of just riding. And I'm very curious because I know you ride a lot. You ride more than I wish to ride in terms of I'd love to ride more than I get to. I wish I could ride my bike every day. Jess gets on me and he tries to encourage me to ride every day. And it's like, Jess, it's not that I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes I can. But like when you're training, are you using a power meter, a heart rate monitor? Are you, what are some of your training methods?
Totally. No power meter. They're just so crazy expensive. And I don't really like dive that much into the data to make it worth it. So like same thing, like I don't want to spend all this time, like, tumbling through data to try to improve like whatever a little bit. It's like, I'm just going to go ride. It's more fun. But heart rate is pretty easy. It's not like, the most accurate. Like I don't wear like a heart rate chest strap, but this Wahoo Rival watch has a little green laser under here. And, it's fairly accurate. It says sometimes that I go up to like 215 beats a minute, but I know that's not true. So,
yeah. Angelo does. I think Angelo might hit 230, man. That's because of his bike tours. He's in shape.
Walking up the steps to go to bed. Had enough.
What's your heart rate been doing the patio, the sandbox? Working in your sandbox.
High.
So Angelo's working on he's trying to rival Paul Hunter with the sandbox, and so he's doing 600 square foot patio.
Probably about 580 square feet of field stone that I have to acquire.
Acquire.
You have covertly often.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So I did see the day when you were here, you showing your watch, and that's what I'm curious. Are you using a bike computer or are you just using your watch for your rides?
Most of the watch. If it's something like last weekend I was in Maine, I wanted to track, the 50 mile and then 90 mile. I was using my slightly more accurate, kind of bar mounted computer. So yeah, mostly the watch one, just because it's convenient.
Yeah.
You don't have to put it on the bike and take it off. It's just always there. So
yeah. And what races are you doing other than yours this year? I mean, you've probably been in a few already, or when is the season for you?
Yeah,
I know you do the Wednesday.
Just the Wednesday ones, and I'm looking at one in August at Craftsbury, a mountain bike race. But yeah, I haven't really. I kind of I feel like I pull so much for myself in the fall, and I'm just like, just for cyclocross and, like being with that community. It's like every weekend, pretty much I'm out there. I'm like, I don't want to ask for, any more in the summer. Right.
So not a lot of races during the summer, then just the kind of Wednesday mountain bike thing. And then you wait for the fall. Yeah. Cool. You gotta have those give and take, right?
Totally. Yeah.
That's give and take with the family.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know. Angelo knows that. Yep. Oh yeah. So what do you do for your planning your training? I know you just love to ride. So I know when you get a chance to get on your bike, you're just going riding, but do you have like a thought process for your season, like spring, summer, fall? I know you get on the trainer. I'm just curious definitely, I know you probably ramp up for your cyclocross races in fall, but do you have kind of a definite, like, I've got to do this minimum type stuff and maybe not just for your cyclocross, maybe for skiing? Cause I know this is your.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'd say somewhere between 8 and 15 hours a week of exercise is what I do. It's not all cycling. I do a little bit of running, do a little bit of weight training, because my goal is to squat more than Nate Gardner.
Now, is that more just weight total, or is that weight based on
percentage?
His weight?
Just more often.
I'm like an ant.
You're like an ant. I think you're going to have to do more than a couple of weight trainings a week.
So yeah, I I don't get too carried away with mileage. I just go more with like hours. And then, not every ride is a hard ride. That's called overtraining. And overtraining is just basically like a plateau where you're just like always like stuck and you're never going to get a bump. Once you get a bump, then you can train at a higher intensity, and you can also race at a higher intensity. When you're racing at a higher intensity, you have speeds and objects coming at you at a more challenging rate. So you're getting better, right? Oh. So that's the whole kind of process of it. Rest days are just as important as training days. So, I definitely rest, and I do easy rides, and some days I just don't exercise. You just gotta take care of the body. I just kind of listen to what's important. So,
and you're doing some of your work out there in terms of your nutrition. You get your carrots going, you get some celery, you get some garlic things there, or whatever. So, I mean, what is some of your, especially for your big rides? I mean, like talking like the gravel rides, that 90-mile ride. You did one last week. You did a 50. Now, was the 52 the day you stopped by here and visited before the night? Was that kind of a cruise ride?
I put some efforts into that. That was my goal, was to kind of go a little bit hard in some sections. And then, Saturday, the tough part about that 90-mile ride is there's really no stores to stop at on the way. There was one store about 20 miles in, and that was at like 6:15 in the morning. It's like, all right, I'll grab a bottle of water. And I barely drank any water at that point because it had been 60 degrees the whole time. But it's definitely a tricky game. And that's, I think that's also part of pushing my body and my mind, is like, okay, I'm in this safe zone, I feel like, because I know all these roads. The back of my hand, I've got my phone on me. I'm going to challenge myself a little bit and, see what I can do. And I definitely got, I remember 5 hours in, and I was doing this climb kind of near you in Ossipee. It's this gravel climb. It's like 500 feet of just ramps up. And I was like getting this sensation. I was like, oh, cow, I'm kind of like lightheaded, and like things are like a little blurry, and it's not because I have shitty vision. I was like, all right. So I get to the top of the hill. I'm just like, okay, I've got some caffeine blocks, and I got this, and doing it. I'm like, all right, feel good now. And then I'm like, all right, now I'm out of water. So I stopped at like a campground an hour later and bought myself a nice ice cream Snickers bar, and got some more.
So Angelo, we just put
not a carrot, huh? That's like the opposite of a carrot, dude.
You have carrots. This isn't a farm stand.
Oh man, he's got to put my ice cream shop on the route, and then they all can come in. They can bulk up on ice cream for the rest of the route. That's what I have to do.
Yeah. It is on the route. It's on the 90-mile route.
It is. We're pretty close because we're coming up on Pine River. I'm trying to look. Was it Pine River Road?
It was Acton Ridge Road. Ivanhoe. Yeah.
Man, pretty darn close.
Yeah.
So how many bottles of water did you figure you had on that 92-mile ride? How much water did you get?
Well, up until that I guess it was 6 hours at that point, I had 3 bottles. So, but it's about preparation. The night before, I definitely hydrated. That morning, I think I drank, about 24 ounces of water, had a good breakfast. So yeah.
Ready to go. Because you've talked about it with me before a little quickly about, people should find their limit, that they, it's okay to bonk. And what did you say? Maybe you have a partner with you or a buddy if you're going to do that.
Yeah. It's good to have someone with you if you can. And it's just, for me, it's fun to explore those limits. And it's like, all right, if people don't know, bonking is just like when you literally have reached the depletion level of energy and it feels like you are pedaling a square and things are just super rough,
See a tunnel and a light.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in there. You're in the hurt box.
Near death experience. See yourself from above.
Yeah. Well, Angelo, Greg is interesting to me in terms of, I mean, I know which I think anybody that races, they love their bikes, but I mean, you love to just go out and ride, and you have that kind of like, we just got to ride sometimes. I have my easy rides, but it seems like you like the challenge also, just like how far you can ride, like, and what are your limits when you're riding? Like, do I need 18 bottles of water just because, I need them, or, what is the numbers? I mean, it seems like you get into that a little bit of just the science of it a little bit in your own riding.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun to experiment. And then it just, at least for me, it sets me up for when I need it, like can always learn something from that experience, whether it worked or it didn't, I've learned from doing some longer races that just like slamming, shot blocks of caffeine and like the energy gels, like all day for 5 hours, like, man, that night and the next day, my stomach is just like, wrenched, so it's like, okay, we got to find some different foods. So, start to do some research, try to get something with some fat, pack a slice of pizza in the back pocket.
Yep.
Angelo likes that, man. A little pizza, a little ice cream. This is sounding more like a ride we'd like, Angelo.
Be a rider. Molten, unfrozen Snickers bar with a straw in it.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, the pockets in the back of that jersey, you can fit other things other than, the gels and that kind of stuff, and water bottles. You can fit, a beer can will fit back there.
Correct. Or carrot.
Or carrot.
Angel says correct. Oh, man. So, I mean, you do love riding, and it's kind of fun to watch on Facebook. I mean, some of the other stuff too, like the kids having a fun little bath and whatever in the trash cans. You did that a few weeks ago. Yeah. They were on the cross country skis on the slick snow or ice piece there this winter. Yeah. But I mean, they definitely have fun on the bikes. Yeah. Both, Rory and Claire are just rolling it, man. And it's fun to watch her pedaling now in some of your videos, chasing Rory around. But you had one, I don't know, it was a week or two ago where they were at the mountain bike pump track or whatever it is. And Rory took some pretty good air there, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's, and that's the thing about, I feel like the mountain bike community is like, he's got some buddies that are a year or 2 years older than him, and he's just like watching. And he's just like this little sponge. And so is Claire. Like, there's this kid, like I said, that's like a year older than him. And he'll ride around on his mountain bike and he'll like tuck into this like arrow position, like, and get down low. And just last week I saw Rory practicing it for like 20 minutes in the parking lot of Catamount because he saw his buddy do it. And I was like, man, it's like so cool. That's what I say around him, right?
Oh, good. Well, Angelo, after Greg was here and Greg left, Andrea said to me, she said, if you go ride with him, you're going to die.
She knows you.
And I said, I might, if I don't text it to Greg, I'm gonna let him know in the podcast next week. I'm gonna go. So I went on Amazon and I got one of those ropes, the bungees you can buy on the bike that you can pull your kids with. I said, and I'm just gonna bring that. So I'm just gonna hook that on. When we hit about, I don't know, mile, I'm not even gonna say 50. I don't know. We hit like mile 35 and we're heading to that 92. I'm just gonna hook it on to Greg. But the problem is, Angelo, when I'm hitting probably mile 32, he's already on mile 64, so I won't see him anyways.
Yeah, that's not the only problem. And you're talking about knowing your limits, but if you can't know your own limits, it's good when your wife knows your limits, right? He's gonna kill you.
Well, that's the question, though. It's like, how's mom? Like, what did she say when she saw the video of him taking air? Because I don't imagine she wants Rory to visit her when she's at work.
Yeah. She definitely sees the worst of things, but we're all kids at one point, it happens.
She's on the bikes with you guys, so she's out riding. Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
That's cool, man. A family gig, everybody out riding. We were doing that tonight. Paulie was out on the mountain bike trails here. We were having a blast before we came on the podcast. But it's cool. It is fun though, watching your little daughter. She's chasing Rory, man. She's going to be probably doing light years ahead of what he's doing just because she's chasing him younger than him. So when, it's pretty cool to watch that.
Yeah, for sure. There's always someone to chase,
Yeah.
There's always someone better than you. And same with skiing. Like, if you're not looking up to someone and learning from them, then like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're not improving. So.
And you've had the kids on the trainers inside. I've seen video. They're on the bikes with trainers inside watching the video on the TV.
Yeah, one of my buddies from Maine, Jason, he's helped out a lot. His family like volunteers for the events. He's like, hey Greg, my son just outgrew this 24-inch like kids cyclocross bike. Like, do you want first dibs on it? I was like, heck yeah. So it's too big for him. But I was like, at least on a trainer, he can get used to like the different style of shifting, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, man. To watch him on there. Was he watching Swift or what do you use for an app?
Yeah, I've got Zwift in the winter when I do that. But I'll also like on the TV, I'll have he loves to watch like cyclocross races. And him and Claire's favorite rider is Ely Easybeat because it's like he's like smaller than everyone else by like 5 inches.
Yeah.
So, they can relate. They're smaller.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's watch cyclocross.
That is cool. And so the a lot of bikes in the family that the bike tech dad has to take care of.
Yeah. Yeah. From day one, I taught them to take care of them. So always put it away at night and never leave it in the driveway, right? Because no one will back over it, right?
Yeah.
And just also like, don't just like throw it on the ground. Like take care of it. When you're done riding, set it down gentle. Like that's just me being.
So, how many wheel sets do you have for your cyclocross bike in the back there?
I mean, I'm not as bad as some people I know, but I think 4 or 5.
And that's not bad. Yeah. I mean, come on, you got 4 or 5 pairs of skis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you only got one bike, one frame, and you got 4 wheel sets. That's, that's not a big deal.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Wouldn't you agree, Angelo?
I don't think there should be a limit on gear, really.
Right. Yeah. When Amanda was up here this week, when she stopped by and said hello, she's up here in New Hampshire, Maine. She was kind of saying, we should have a limit. And I'm like, she said, you guys just going to buy another pair of skis? I'm like, darn right we are.
Well, yeah.
How many skateboards you got?
I don't know.
Not enough.
I don't. I mean, I was just talking about that because we had a guy doing some work at the house. He's like, how many of these things are there? There's probably 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
I ride one. But the other but I need the other 19.
Yeah. 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 But what happens if something happens to that one you ride every day? You can grab one of the other ones.
That's right. And I have a couple that aren't set up yet. So I can always have 20.
Oh, you gotta have, plenty of bikes. I mean, Jess is selling them. So I know Mr. Jess Stith down at Gettysburg Bike will be like, oh, you need this, never a limit, man. Just keep getting bikes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but talking about going back to skiing, and how much of your biking are you thinking about for you personally? Like when you're on the bike or whether mountain bike, road bike, I mean, cause this is definitely your gig that you love doing. This definitely keeps you in a physical shape for winter.
Yeah.
And you do some other stuff. You said you do weight training that, but what are some of the things just Greg Dolbec goes, I think about this in the bike. This is kind of the thing, like I'm skiing or gives me sensations like skiing. Is there anything?
Yeah, definitely. It's not all the time, but there's some rides where, especially when fall comes around and, it's kind of nerdy, but just like thinking about, like kinesthetically, like what feelings I'm getting from the bike, especially traction, and then where do I need to be on the bike fore and aft if I like have to get up this climb and I want to stand, and then my rear tire kind of like loses traction. It's like, so there's it's just like crazy how it relates so closely, with those little sensations that we need from skiing. Also, I am like accessing those every day on the bike. So.
And Angelo, there's stuff on the skateboard. I mean, I don't think there's anything we can do when we're out there, and not think about skiing or feel some things like skiing. Because on the skateboard, a lot of people, I mean, look at all the snowboard crews definitely on the skateboards, I know. But I mean, it's still something in motion, and that we're playing around with where our bodies are in space. I mean, I think it's huge. I mean, what are some of the things on the skateboard?
Everything, any motion activity, any motion sport, you're going to learn where your body is in space, or your body's going to learn where it is in space is probably more accurate, and as you get better at any activity, and those, that knowledge of body positioning becomes natural and inherent, and you don't have to spend cognitive energy thinking about where you're putting parts. They just are where they need to be for efficient movement. Like any sport is going to provide that to you. And I think that's the real beauty, that movement is movement, and your brain doesn't care if you're sitting on a bicycle or standing on a skateboard or whatever, you just got to move. The more you move, the better you'll be at moving. The more we move, I mean, whether on inline skates and the rollerblades or whatever, I mean, it's cool. And then it's like, Greg's got a real community he races with and rides with the cyclocross stuff. And it's fun. I mean, I follow, you on Strava and that, and it kind of gets me going. I watch Jess's on there. I'm like, oh man, I haven't rode in 3 days. I got to get out there, man. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do the 50 mile and 90 mile an hour this week that Greg did, but I should get out there and at least get 20 down here from when I get on the road bike. So it definitely pushes all of us. I think it's kind of neat and that inspirational, like, okay, I got to do something. So,
Strava and any of that social media stuff in general is like, it can be good if you do it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
If it becomes like this, like, oh man, they did this and I didn't quite do it, like the whole thing, fear of missing out. Right. Yeah. Like when you start to go down that road, I think it's important just to kind of take a step back and remember, what you're in it for.
Yeah, because it's fun. It's fun to ride. I mean, people go, "What do you do to stay in shape for ski season?" I mean, I try to ride hard, especially as I get towards fall. But I'd rather ride my bike than do some other stuff. And I'll get on the road bike and mountain bike, mix it up. But I'd rather do that than Angelo and I are not gym rats. No, we don't. I mean, it's funny, but it's half not funny. Like I was thinking about Greg. Like Greg, you have a very high performance mindset, which seems year round. Like I'm not made of that. I'm not cut from that cloth. So when I ride my bike, no computers, no Strava. No, I'm not the least bit tempted to think about bicycling in that way. That's not what it is for me. And skateboarding was never that for anybody. It's closer to self-expression than sport. I mean, there's very little data analysis, and certainly none of my friends do it. But I wondered how you handle that, Greg, because I know what you've been through in the ski world to get where you are now. It's very performance oriented mindset. Do you burn out? But you mentioned the easier rides, and I was going to ask you earlier on, do you just do some soul sessions, or are those your soul sessions, where you don't look at your watch, you don't put it on Strava, maybe you just go out and do it?
I think I'd always just start the watch. And, I either go into it with the ride with a plan, whether I want to do like, 10 30s, which is like 30 seconds hard with a 1 minute recovery, and that's kind of like my prep 2 days out before a race. That's what I do. Or if I'm just, out for like a total cruise, cause like, I just like things are super stressful at home and I need some time to like just chill ride. Also, there have been some rides where I do like angry rides. I'm just like super freaking pissed off and I'm like, holy shit, I just like KOM next. I'm so fucking pissed. But you know what I mean? So it's like I just ride by feel, really.
Yeah. That's cool. That's awesome. Greg, we'll have to, because I'm interested in it. So since it's Angelo on my podcast, Angelo gets to do some stuff. I get to do some stuff. I think Angelo wouldn't mind it, you know, because I love learning and I love learning the bike tech stuff. I know some people would love just basic stuff of like, you know, because some people have talked to me about the, what is it? The lube for the chain that you can actually coat it, you know, you dip it, the dip.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's you know, it's kind of like the high level of waxing your skis and hot boxing and stuff. And you know, I think we should, you know, in the future here as we get forward, maybe chat some about that if you're willing to, because I think it's kind of cool. That's the stuff you know, just keeping the bike in tune and little stuff that you can do at home that you can't always take it to the shop to get it all the time. And then nowadays, it's like sometimes you go in the bike shop backed up 2 weeks, and it's like it's a little teeny thing to fix.
I know. I honestly feel like so bad when I'm like working the shop and like, you know, our ticket board is stacked and like someone's coming in like, yeah, we can do like flat fixes. And like, sometimes you have to wait an hour or two, but it's like, they just sort of just like, you know, if you need to do a cable, you know, it's like, we can schedule you for a week.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh my God, it's just like, that's not how it was. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's great that like cycling is this popular, but
yeah,
I feel bad.
Super popular. But hopefully some folks will listen to this and join in on the Deer Farm Cyclocross race and the gravel rides on Sunday, and come visit the Applegate Deer Farm, and we'll have some fun, because maybe maybe now I can get Angelo to get up here during that week. And we'll come over and have some fun, especially Ben will be there. Charlie, that'll be cool. Yeah. Hopefully some more. Maybe we'll see some more dev teamers and some crew come visit, race, or who knows? Maybe Krista will come up and race from down PA. Krista Ross. She loves racing on the mountain bike.
She's a rider.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely awesome. There's another one that can crush me, Angelo.
Her husband Frankie's a rider too.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. But I hope our listeners out there, if you're interested, or hopefully this perks some of your interest, because it's a really cool, fun event. It's a great venue, and Greg and all his buddies that he gets together to help him do a great job there. And I know I'll be there watching and partaking that weekend. But Greg, thanks. And yes, we'll ride sometime probably this fall. And I'll have my tow rope that I'll be able to lasso out there around your bike so that you can pull me along. But we'll have some fun. I'm willing to sweat and feel some pain. So, cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks everybody out there for listening. This has been the Fall Line with Chaos and Company.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.